Oh man, look at this. Well, I don't know about you, love, but I don't want to scrape all this off.
I'll deal with it.
You can deal with it?
Yeah.
All right, go for it. I'm not gonna lie, love. That was pretty impressive. Do you know what, love? I bet nobody else's wife could do what you do.
No, I'm a class act.
You really are?
Yeah.
Classy. Anyway, the other day I was filming this video for my upcoming course, Mastering Sharpness, which comes out next month. There's a link in the description if you just wanted to pre-order it. And it was so entertaining and so informative that I thought, do you know what, I should just upload this video to YouTube and give people a free preview of this course. So without further ado, here's us just the other day on an absolutely beautiful day. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to tell you something you don't want to hear. I'm going to give you a hard truth. And that hard truth is that if you really want the sharpest images you could possibly get, you're just going to have to accept that this is now part of your life. That's right, tripods. We hate them. Well, we love them and we hate them. And for sure, you can get fairly sharp handheld images, and I will dedicate a whole video to that in this course. But really, the ultimate sharpness can only be obtained by shooting with a bloody tripod. Now, I've picked a horrendous windy day to kind of illustrate the need for tripods and why you want a sturdy tripod. So I've got 3 tripods with me today. Understand that I have used every possible configuration of tripod and ball head you can imagine. Well, maybe not every, but it's a lot. And these are the ones that I love. So the brand that I love is FLM tripods, and they do not pay me to say this. They do send me free tripods occasionally, but other than that, I have no obligation to tout their wares to anybody. The reason why I like FLM tripods is because they're just so sturdy. The build quality is superb. Now, historically, I usually prefer those latch mechanisms. These are the twisties. And the reason why I don't usually like twisties is because some manufacturers, you have to twist it, I don't know, 5 or 6 times before it starts to move. Whereas I found that with these ones from FLM, one turn and it's already moving, right? One turn, it's tight. So if you're going to go for twisties, whether you go for this brand or whatever, I don't really care what brand you go for, but whichever brand you go for, when you test it, just make sure that you can get what you need out of one twist, because there's nothing more tedious than going like this 5 times and it still hasn't moved, especially if it's a time sensitive shot. That always happens when the light is kicking off and going crazy. So what is the purpose of a tripod? Well, its entire purpose is to keep the camera really, really steady in any conditions. Typically, as a landscape photographer, the conditions for me are usually this kind of stuff, where it's windy, or I'm in a river. You know me, I'm standing in a river. Oh God. Or I might be standing in the waves. Wow, look at that. And I've got this sexy English model in my frame. Oh, that's fantastic. Getting hit by waves, whatever it is, I'm usually relying on my tripod to keep things steady. So here's what you need to understand about these gadgets is the more of these telescoping pieces that you have that go into each leg, the less stable the tripod's going to be. So can you see this one, love?
Yeah.
This one has 4. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, is it 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces to the leg. So this tripod is never going to be as stable as this one, which has 3 pieces to it. So this is a really sturdy tripod. The problem with this one is it's a bit heavier, whereas this one is much lighter. So let me show you why this one is a bit of a problem for hiking or climbing. Look how tall it is. So as you can see, this tripod is kind of sticking out, threatening to smack me in the back of the head, and it doesn't even have the ball head on it yet. So with that on, it's going to be even worse. So when I'm climbing up a steep mountain, I'm trying to get in between trees, which is really tight, this is going to be really annoying. And it's tall because it doesn't have that many telescopic pieces to each leg. So this is perfect for lazy roadside landscape photography, where you're not constantly having to deal with this on a tight, sketchy trail. What I would use if I was going up a mountain is this one. Well, this is the one I use. I actually use this tripod. So if I'm going on a major hike, this is super light, and it's light because the legs are thin and they're telescoped down to nothing. So let's do a quick demo. I'll try and make this look smooth. So little twist on each one and then ram it in, and then try and twist all four together. Little twist on each one, ram it in. Don't look at me like that. Oh.
You did it yourself.
Okay, that's pretty quick. That's pretty quick. And look how small this is. So now can you put that in the back of my camera bag? I'll take the camera from you. So if you just stick that in that other pocket there. Let's compare the two. Okay, so you should be able to see that sticks out quite a bit less, and it's already got the ball head on it, and I've added those extenders to the feet, which I haven't done with this. So you can see the difference between these two types of tripods. This one is super stable, but a bugger to hike with. This one is not as stable, but this is what you want to be hiking up a mountain with, because it's light and it telescopes down to pretty much nothing. But what about a happy medium, right? In most cases, you might want to do a bit of hiking and a bit of lazy roadside photography. Well, that's when you're going to have 3 tripods. Yes, I know that 3 tripods might not be in your budget. I mean, I can justify it because I get free tripods. Or you know, this is my job and my business writes off these types of expenses. So I can justify 3 different tripods for different types of jobs. But you might not be able to, in which case you're going to have to pick one tripod. And in that case, just pick the happy medium, something that's in between these 2 types of tripods and fits your budget. I don't think these FLN tripods are really that cheap, because to be honest, I haven't bought one, but I think they're fairly expensive, but you get what you pay for. So let me show you this tripod that this camera's on, and this is my in-between tripod. Now, I can't remember which model number this is, but I'll put it up on the screen afterwards. So this one has 4 telescoping pieces. It gets fairly high. I think it'll get up to about here. I'll post the actual height that you're going to get. But I love it because it's still light, it's still quite stable, and it packs down to something that's in between these 2 tripods, and that's what you want to be looking for if you can only afford one tripod. The other tip I'll give you about tripods is don't buy cheap, because I can guarantee if you do, you'll be buying twice. Cheap tripods are a complete waste of money. If you have to save up, it's way better to just buy it once than to just buy a piece of crap and then you have to save up and buy a good one anyway. I know it's hard to hear that if you don't have a budget to start off with and you want to get shooting like this, but you must have something of a budget because you bought this course, didn't you? You bought it, didn't you? You didn't get a pirate copy, did you? I really hope you didn't. One thing you can do with pretty much all tripods is if you look at this rubber foot here, you can change those. You could switch to spikes. You can actually switch to claws. So here's an example. I added these just to give this a little bit more height. So when you saw it in the camera bag, it would actually be a lot smaller if I took these off. But you know, I'm just showing you this for example. This comes off with these and you get these nice spikes, which is kind of cool if you're shooting on ice or something like that. But most of the time I just prefer the rubber feet because it's kind of useful for any type of situation. Although if I was on Abraham Lake in January with those winds and that ice, if I use these, it would just be sliding across the lake. Better to use spikes or claws. Well, it's a beautiful day, isn't it, love?
Oh, it's great.
It's just lovely, isn't it? Okay, so now let's talk about ball heads. I love FLM tripods, but I can't say I'm that ecstatic about their ball heads. And the reason for that is because nobody has ever done a ball head better than Really Right Stuff. And again, they don't pay me anything to say that. I don't even think they know I exist. But in all the tripods that I've seen, all of my students use over the years, Gitzo is pretty good too. but I just love the really right stuff. So this is kind of like a mid-range one. They do a couple of models that are bigger than this and more chunky than this and far more stable. They are better ball heads, but of course they're heavier, right? So I like this because it's light. All you've got is two dials. This gives you like a pano rotation, and of course this is your ball head release lever. That's all you really need. But what really makes really right stuff heads really good is this clip. I just love how simple that is. It works every time. You don't need like a grub screw to tighten it up. It just fits the Arca Swiss plates perfectly, and you always know, because of this mechanism, this really ergonomically pleasing thumb mechanism, you always know that it's locked in tight. That is not moving. I love these ball heads. Now I don't get freebies with really right stuff. Like I said, I don't think they know I exist, but in the event that they are watching this video, which they shouldn't be, because it's only for people who've bought it, but if they are watching, get in touch. What a beautiful day. Another thing that I'm always looking for with tripods is, if I want to get really close to the ground, how easy is it to pop these out and just go like that? It has to be really quick and easy. Usually you have to kind of go, give it a little slap to loosen it, and then you can pop that out, and then you can turn that to whichever position you want. So push it in, pop it out, crank it. It should be that quick. It should be that easy. When you're in a store buying a tripod, if you have to faff about with complicated little mechanisms to do that, you're looking at the wrong tripod. Another cool feature that I like about these, I don't know if every single one of these FLM has these little spirit levels, but all of mine do anyway. Nice little bubble level there so that you can just level the base, which is really essential for doing panos. Some ball heads come with a bubble level on the ball head, on the actual clip, but I'm quite happy with it just being on the plate, the sort of central plate of the tripod itself. Whatever tripod you go for, like I said, the most important thing is stability. And also, I would say the second most important thing after that is, like I showed you with the really right stuff clip, is just that confidence that when you've clipped your camera into that ball head, it's not going to fall off. I have seen some terrible things happen during workshops when people thought that their camera was properly clipped on and it just wasn't. And it's fallen in the ocean, it's fallen in a river. I've seen it happen time and time again. Do you know who I've never seen do that? Is people who have a really right stuff ball head. Once you clip it in, you know with absolute confidence it's in. One last thing that I'll show you about tripods, and this is for usually stronger, fitter people who don't mind carrying a massive tripod around, or often people that are really tall. What you'll notice with bigger, heavier tripods is that the legs will either just fall out like that, or if you give them just a little pull, they'll just fly out real quick. And that is excellent for getting set up nice and fast. I mean, look at that. Because it's heavy, it just falls out really quickly. Whereas with the lighter tripods, you do have to put a bit of effort into pulling them out. So on the one hand, it's nicer to carry, but on the other hand, it's not as nice to use as a heavy tripod, because if you get really good at using these heavier tripods, what you can do is just give that a crank and then give it a smack, and both of those have flown out in one movement. So I kind of like that. And then I guess the last thing I would say when you're shopping for tripods is try and find out from the manufacturer, it might require an email or a phone call, how much it costs for replacement parts, because you will eventually need to replace some of these moving parts. I've had that tripod there, which is an FLM one, for about 3 or 4 years, and I've only cleaned it once the whole time that I've had it. And out of all of the tripods I've ever used, it's had the most abuse ever. And I've cleaned it once, and none of these parts need to be replaced yet. I cannot say the same for all of the other tripod manufacturers that I've used in the past. I really like the Manfrotto tripods, but same thing, those lever mechanisms tend to get worn out very quickly, especially when you're doing ocean photography. And the same with the iFootage tripods. They've got that lever, they're really nice to use. I do like those tripods, but they get kind of worn out a lot quicker than these twisties. So the twisties are a bit slower, They're a bit annoying, but they don't wear out and die as quickly as those quick release levers that you see. Right, I can't think of anything else to say about tripods. If I think of something on the way home, I'll film an extra bit to this. But my point with this video is to just convince you that if you want the absolute sharpest shots that you can get, use all of the techniques that I'm going to give you, but this is just as important as shooting with the proper technique. And this is a terrible weather day. Shall we go and start a fire in the church?
Yeah.
Come on then, let's go home.
Well, that didn't sound good.
No, I don't mean burn it down.